I think you'll have to accept that. Well, hello. Once again, you have fallen into HellaVella, and that's the channel where we talk about all things to do with the exciting new serial reading platform from Kindle called Vella. And today we're going to be speaking with author Jason Queen, and Jason has got 5 story flows going out on Kindle Vella, and they all sound wonderful. So say hi to Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You bet. You bet. I'm so excited to talk to you. First of all, I'd like to understand how you got going on Kindle Vella. How'd you start writing for this new serial writing platform?
It's a great question. So I was originally already writing on KDP through Amazon. I have a couple of books out there, and I had blogged a few short stories before, but I had a lot of stuff I had written that was just kind of sitting. I wasn't sure what to do with it. And my wife sent me this email that she had gotten probably through Amazon or whatever about Kindle Vella. I looked at it and dismissed it. Didn't think about it again. You know, it was that thing, hey, coming soon. I completely dismissed it. Then I read something else about it. I saw it again and again. And the part that appealed to me was the serialized release, you know, like in the old days where Saturday Evening Post and a lot of the really great classic stories came out that way. So in reality, it's not as new a concept. It's just on a new platform. So I kept hearing more and more. I began to watch some YouTube videos about it. It said it's coming, I think in the summer. Remember back when it first came out, everyone was trying to figure out how it worked, and they would talk about the token system. And I thought, man, that doesn't sound like that's for me at all. So I didn't pay attention for another month. But long story short, by the middle of the summer, where I started hearing more and more authors talk about it, I had a story in my mind, which became my Cold War summer. And I thought, man, that's going to be perfect for that. So I started writing for it. I thought, I hope it's easy to upload, which it was. It's a super simple process. I got help with the cover. I haven't had to do that since. I probably overthought that part. I uploaded it, and then that's how I got started.
That is great. That's great. And so the first one that you uploaded was which?
My Cold War summer.
My Cold War summer. Now that looked really good to me. That's got a Stand By Me feel.
It does. No, that's exactly where it came from. And a Stranger Things without the supernatural, that was there. And that's a story that had kind of been in the back of my mind for a long time. I grew up on a farm here in Virginia. That's where I am, and in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And when I was 12, my friends and I were in a barn, and we opened up this old chest, and we found all these Russian newspapers and documents and all these weird things that looked official. Man, I don't know what they could have been, but we found out that across the creek from us, our next door neighbor, that house was the Soviet embassy house in the 1960s during the height of the Cold War.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that put something in my mind. What if kids in the mid 80s, which is a cool time period, that's when I was 12, 13, the mid 80s, what if they ran into a Soviet spy ring? Or maybe they didn't, or maybe they did. So I thought Vella was a great place to just let that unfold in real time, so I started writing it.
Well, I'm putting that one on my reading list because I really enjoy Stand By Me, and I love stories that center around children and the way children think and the bonds that children make.
Right. That's exactly what I'm looking at. That, you know, friends, you have friends that are not close up in the main character's head, where when you're 12, you think everybody, you know, you just get real twisted up. So I'm exploring that a little bit too.
Well, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Okay, so then that's My Cold War Summer. What was your second one?
My second one was The Through Hiker, that is a novella that I had written that just sat. I couldn't figure out what to do with it. It was a little shorter than I liked, a little too short to release as a novel. My first attempt to write a protagonist that was a female, so I felt all of mine is like Americana male, testosterone, and this is a lady that's hiking on the Appalachian Trail and comes across a murder. It was my first mystery. So I think I was so scared of letting it out there that I just protected it and it sat. And I thought, man, I'll just release it one chapter at a time with Vella. I'm writing my Cold War summer and releasing it. So with Vella, with the Through Hiker, I'm just looking at it, rereading it again and letting a chapter go at a time as an episode. And that's been fun. And I've been able to look at it through new eyes and maybe polish it a little bit.
Now, exactly what is, okay, so it's about a murder on the Appalachian Trail. Do you know that story about the old woman who walked the Appalachian Trail?
Yeah, like grandma somebody. Yeah, yeah.
Good Lord, I read that book. That fascinated me. You know, she went out with nothing but a burlap bag or something and old shoes and
right, and removed the excuse anyone ever has for hiking.
Exactly.
Right. She didn't stop off at Dick's Sporting Goods, all the things we do. She didn't, I think, she wore regular shoes.
She did.
That's the whole trail community thing. The Appalachian Trail runs near our house here in Virginia. So it's always been something I wanted to do. I've hiked portions of it. My dad, who is in his early 80s, still hikes parts of it. So that trail culture appeals to me. So that's a big part of that story.
So what a wonderful, rich, tapestry you have to draw on so that you can weave these stories. That's great.
Right. Yeah. They everyone says write what you know, and sometimes I write stuff I don't know, but it's definitely not as magical feeling as when you write stuff you grew up all around.
Exactly.
And you know that to be true because you've grown up in all these rich areas yourself. So rich with opportunity to be creative.
It's great. But we're here to talk about you. So what's number 3?
Number 3 is a short, I won't say short story, another little novella I had already written called My Father's Son. It's the first thing I ever completed when I decided I wanted to fulfill my dream of writing that had sat for years. You hear everyone say, I always wanted to be a writer. Life gets in the way. So 5-6 years ago, I just started writing. I was working on what became my novel, but I wrote a little story about 2 sons and their father. 2 sons go on a canoe trip, and you're not sure what they're doing, but they're going to get their dad, trying to figure out why the 2 brothers are estranged, then they're stuck in a canoe together. Why are they there? So I released those as a 3-episode Vella story. So of course it's free. The first 3 episodes of everything are free. And that's one that's near and dear to me because it sort of parallels a little bit my relationship with my brother. Of course, it takes it way into left field, but it explores that. And on the cover, that's my dad. You'll see a man sitting next to a canoe. That's my dad. And
man, I'm looking forward to reading that one too.
Yeah, so that's a short one. And that's my 3rd one.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, and then I have down, okay, so what's the 4th one?
4th one, Stan Dulliver's 1,000-Mile Summer.
Now that's fascinating. What is that about, Jason?
So that one, and that's another one I already had a lot written about. And that was what I thought might be my first novel, but it ended up being me playing, it was written during COVID. And what was going to end up happening was it was written before COVID. The guy was going to take his family on a cross-country RV trip, but a pandemic was going to hit and make them get stuck together. But then a real pandemic hit, and I thought, nobody wants to read about this while we're going through it. So it went off to the side, and I, over time for Vella, I have twisted it around a little bit. So it's a guy in a midlife crisis, gets his family together, and he's trying to figure out how to make a memorable summer for them.
Wow. Well, that's a good one too. Yours are all wonderful slice of life stories.
That's where I tried it. I love subtle storytelling. I love authors that can write, slam bang fireworks stories. I think that's important. I love them. But mine have ended up being more of, you look at it and you can relate to them. There still need to be an escape. Who wants to read about, things you're already dealing with? But it's stuff I try to make my characters and my stories relatable. So slice
Yes.
of life, if you say that, I love that because that's what I'm going for.
That is wonderful. Wonderful to hear. So that's 4.
That's 4. The 5th one is The Last Days of the Old West. And that one I'm writing episodes for in real time now. So 2 or 3 of them I'm creating new. I'm actually having to write as I go. And the other ones were ones I already had. So I'm editing them a little bit. Last Days of the Old West is set in 1908, which is really about 25 or 30 years after the time period most people think of the Old West.
Yeah.
My characters are riding horses while cars are now starting to emerge. And it's about civilization meeting all the old outlaws, and everyone is starting to get tired of outlaws and bandits being around. So there's that clash of trying to change the world really and bring civilization. And that's the story. I bring 3 men who end up being bounty hunters into it, and they're clearing out all the bad outlaws so that normal people can live in peace.
Now, how do you research your novels? Because this sounds very, it sounds well researched because the time period's right. What's going on is right. I know they were bringing circuit judges out. They were getting more prevalent. The law was getting more prevalent.
Right. So I'm going to give an answer that will probably make some people cringe, but here's how I get a lot of, I use a lot of my research from several areas. Number one, I love movies, and I watch movies and documentaries and History Channel. So I glean those things, then I verify them through online or sometimes through other books. And I read Westerns. I love them. I grew up on them. Larry
Moore?
Yeah. Love them. So, so that's, I glean a lot of information from that. I try to confirm it through actual value, good resources, and then I write it. So I don't spend a ton of time on research. If there are certain questions I have, like when did cars start popping up? You'll look at cars were big. I'll read a ton about that, way too much. When I was researching for a novel I'd written about the Great Depression, I read a lot about automobiles. So I used some of that research. So it all just kind of comes together. I think you probably go through the same thing when you research yours. You check, but I'm not one of those guys that spends 100 hours in the library. I wish I could say I was, but I'm not. Too much.
I'm not either. I don't know. There's nothing about it that's invalid. The History Channel is really pretty good, especially if you double check,
Right.
That it's not nonsense. And then, to be really frank, I use a lot of Wikipedia.
Yeah. Look, I think that's a much better source than people give it credit for. Again, verify things,
right?
But verify deal, and then you just write it. And the other thing too is we're writing, even in historical fiction, for people to expect it to be 100%. Then read a history book. You're reading fiction for a reason. Give us a little room for creativity. You're not watching the Marvel movies and saying there's no shawarma stand there in New York City. Just kind of go with it and have fun.
A shawarma stand. That's wonderful. Well, also let me know, do you is writing your whole living now?
No, ma'am. I work as a paralegal in a law firm here in Virginia. So
do you now?
Yeah, and I love what I do. That's what I'm going to do. It supports my family. It takes care of me. I love who I work for. I love that. So do I ever think I'll do this full time? I don't know the answer to that. I know that it's still fun for me. There's no pressure to make money and all those kind of things. My job and my wife's job, that takes care of our family very well. So it gives me freedom to not have to worry about the economic part of it. And a lot of full-time authors tell me that is a weight that almost kind of crushes their creativity sometimes. And I don't have to worry about that. So I work full-time, and then I get up early and stay up late. I've got 5 kids. They're great about, but I don't let writing mess up life, or I try really hard not to. So my kids love that I write. They are all around me while I do. My wife is the same way. Everyone's supportive. So if I really need to go deep into it, I'll do it late at night or early in the morning. But other times I just kind of write at the kitchen table, which is where I am right now, or wherever I am. So right now it's to answer your question, it's a side thing, but I love it, and it's fulfilling.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it really
I
is.
just writing is life, you know.
It is, and it allows every other aspect of life for me to be vibrant. Because this is an outlet that for many years I didn't explore, and it was suppressed, and my family's encouraged me to do it, and it's just been the last 5 years has been life-changing for me. So
I am so excited about Vela, about the community, because I hear these stories all the time.
right,
Like
right.
these writers who have wanted nothing more. I'm one of them. I stopped writing for 27 years
Yeah,
to work my career, right? And I knew that you and I got along great because I was a certified paralegal for years, and then I went into e-discovery. And
gotcha.
COVID retired me from being a director of a company doing e-discovery. And, you know, that just ate all of my brain power, everything, you know, that I had was in that. And then here comes COVID, and it shuts that down and retires me quite a bit earlier than I planned on. And, but I am so grateful because I am happier than I have been in many years. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have built myself a retirement with the good, you know, legal silver handcuffs that we all wore, you know.
Right.
And I built myself a nice little retirement, you know, so long as I don't live too long. But
Yeah, you got that cutoff date.
but
Right.
it's made it possible, and Vela has made it viable for me.
Right.
Because when you go into high tech, and man, I went deep, it does something to your brain where you must move from one thing to another. You must. Your brain cannot just sit there and focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And I have found Vela to be fantastic for that for me, because you can write an episode, then you move on to your other story and you write an episode. And I move like bee to flower.
Right. I think you've hit on, you kind of hit the mountaintops of all the opportunities that Vela offers. Number one, for that person that's always wanted to publish and doesn't know how to do it, and there are all the scams out there and things like that, or they hit the technological wall of not knowing how to even upload to KDP. I had to get help with that. You know, I had to partner up with someone that helped me, and now we're helping other authors with that. But Vela removes even that wall. You know, if you can use Facebook, you can use Vela. I was shocked at how that, so it opens it up for that. It opens up for people who are looking for a viable income, you know, that it really does. It's doing that. I was surprised because for me, the financial end of it for Vela didn't even factor in. But, you know, we
Weren't
both
you
know
pleasantly surprised?
I was pleasantly exacerbated. I was shocked. You know, I the first time, because I'd hardly done anything and the stuff was just sitting. So I was like, wow. Then I hate to say that the financial end of it motivated me, but you know, I'm a capitalist too. So you see that and you're like, wow, okay, let me dig out. So when I talked to you about having my Cold War summer and then adding other things in, that was part of it. I was like, wow, okay. So, and then when people started reading them, but it does. So the viability, economic viability, or the opportunity, viability, and then for people just looking for an outlet, it really is something you can upload, and the episodes can be short. What's your word count normally? I know you don't want to talk about you, but like, do you kind of hover in that 1,000-word area, or?
It depends. Like on my premiere story, Lena, I stay around 2,500, and I try to keep it fairly even so that folks know what they're getting into.
Right, especially
You know,
with
they know
tourists.
each episode's going to cost them between 24, 25, 27 coins, round in there. some of my episodes have gotten large, so I broke them in half, you know. I don't want to approach that 5,000 mark. I have seen other authors do it, but I've also seen that just by looking at the little thumbs down at the bottom, you can tell that it has stopped a lot of people. So like you might read an episode that's 1,200 words, you know, you're going along. Here's the episode 5 is 1,200 words. And then you see episode 6 at 4,700 words. You might go down from 30 thumbs down to 5. You know?
Right. So let me tell you something funny about that. That's like the learning curve here. When I first started writing my Cold War Summer, the first episodes I uploaded, I see, hey, they're free. So I'll give people the most bang for their buck, I thought. So my first 3, if you add them up, are right at like 11,000, no, 13,000 words. Way up, each one was over 4,000 each. So I was top loading. And there's a part of me that almost thinks that wish I could go back and just kind of redo everything and break them up. And they
can.
Right.
On Vela, you can.
Yeah, that's the other great thing about it. You can go back if you're able to just shuffle it along. And I probably will make that investment because the first 3 episodes, while they're free and it gives people the most bang for their buck, they're reading a novella, you know, and you're not, I'm realizing now the concept isn't for someone to read that length of time. It's really meeting that techno mind of ours where our attention span jumps around.
It's too fast. I mean, you gotta keep moving. And,
Right.
If you look at, have you investigated any of the international platforms such as Radish?
Yeah, so I looked at Radish only by comparison to see, you know, what with Vella, you know, Wattpad, of course, things like that. But I don't know much about Radish at all. I know a lot of people use it, and they use it in conjunction with Vella, I think.
It's crazy. It's crazy. If you hit on Radish, because your reads can go up into the millions,
yeah,
then you hit, you know.
Yeah.
But they're not paying out like Vella.
Right.
Nothing is paying like Vella. Nothing.
No.
So we're really, you know, lucky to be in on this platform, and I'm so excited about it. So wanted to ask you about your social media. Do you work your social media, get out there and meet the Vela community and show yourself off, and feature your stories and stuff?
So I just started that within the last 3 weeks. For the first probably 3 months, my story sat. You know, I think a friend would read them. Maybe, you know, an aunt would feel sorry for me and check them out, you know, those kind of things. And then I started using, so for me, and my advice for anyone on Vela is you got to use social media. Facebook for me, find some Facebook groups and start putting it out there. Yeah, I remember posting it on Facebook, one of the reader groups where they ask you to share a link, drop your links in the comment. I dropped my links in the comment that I logged in at the dashboard, ready to see all the zeros. And it's like, wow, what happened?
It works. This is our community. This is our thing. You know?
And it did. At first, it was because I've used social media for my other books and things like that, and that's been good. And there's been a community there, but the Vela community has definitely is growing. I'm realizing people really are reading it. I didn't want to say, oh, I'll check off yours if you check off mine. I stay away from those. There's a benefit of that for me. I love when people are actually giving real feedback and you can tell they read them, and there are readers there that are really looking for stuff to read. That was to me too. I think Vella's catching on. Do you? I really do think it is.
I do. And I think we should make that Western tag.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's put one up there. I'll put that on my Gendlina.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
And because
we'll start it.
They're allowing us to make them now. You know, this is the meta information. So, and I understand it at a very deep level from having done large data work.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'm pretty sure they're going to cut off your ability to just make stuff up.
Right, right. You're gonna have to choose them. So
Right.
yeah, let's be the pioneers of the Western.
I think so. I think so because Westerns are hot right now.
They are, and I did not even realize, yeah, because I love them. My dad loves them. But yeah, with what Taylor Sheridan's doing on television and his movies and all of his stuff are modern westerns. You look at Sicario and all the Hell or High Water; those are modern westerns. And now he's doing it for real with 1883. So,
Right. And there's a Black Western. It's on Netflix.
which is a fantastic.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. The harder they fall, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Wow. The acting in that and yeah,
Oh,
a couple times. And
oh,
then there's a Benedict Cumberbatch has done a Western.
oh, what?
Something, yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I think I've seen it. Isn't he
Yeah.
a bad guy?
He is a bad, he's a terrible guy.
Yes, I've seen it. And he
Yeah.
does a bad guy very well.
A good twist at the end, too.
Let me ask you this. If you could change something about Vela, what would you change?
Wow, that's a good question. I would love the opportunity to interact with readers more, but I don't know how you. So let me tell you, I'm gonna reveal like some angst in myself. I love the fact that people can't tear down your writing in Vela. There's no place for them to leave negative stuff. So there is that risk if you get interaction, then you start getting, I'm not going to cuss on your interview, but the jackwagons of the world. Well, the people that want to always critique and just tear people down, they have an audience there, and right now they don't. So I would love to see some form of interaction with readers, but I don't know how you would do that and not open the door to all these trolls and just the terrible things that already exist on social media. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And that is something that I hear decried by lots of authors. But let me say this. You're the first one that has addressed you want it, but you don't want it.
Right.
And I feel the same way. What I'd like to see, though, there's an add-on with Radish where you can punch a button and it'll read the story to you.
Oh, wow. Now, that would be very good.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that would be really good. So those are features, I love that. I've seen that Vella's been adding things in, and everything so far has been conservatively positive, I think. So I think opening up reader interaction would be a very bold move that would bring some negativity with it, because everything's positive right now, right? I mean, there's some things that's missing. I probably would enhance the ability to search for an author.
Yes, there's that. I kept thinking that they were going to activate the links of the author's name, but what other authors have done and what I've done, and you should do because you have many stories, one of your 7 tags needs to be given up to your name.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then you punch that tag and then it'll just give the whole array of what you've written.
Okay, that is fantastic. That's what I love about the community between the authors too. Everyone's trying to be helpful.
Yes.
Everyone's pulling each other up. There's no negative form of competition there. So I do love that. There is a community of readers coming up. I think we all say we'd love to see Amazon advertise and push it more. I know they're going to. They're waiting for everything to kind of come together. They're building up their product. They're letting things organically grow. And, everyone says Amazon's so unorganic. Well, in this platform, I think they really are trying to let Vella be an organically grown process or platform, and then I think they're going to push it, right? I think they are. I'm starting to see that.
My number one wish for the big wish list is a dedicated app, just like Radish has.
Right, right.
where it is a serial app designed for serial stories. And then, and then it has the little whistles and bells, like it'll read it to you. You can be in your car, poke the button, and it'll go ahead and read the story to you.
That's
That
gotta
is
happen.
my biggest wish.
I think that's inevitable, don't you?
I
mean,
do. I do, because I don't think Amazon went in this to lose.
No, and that was, it's, you say that because early on, other authors on the KDP platform or people I follow and know a little bit, through social media, they all flocked to Vella. Then within a month, they flocked off. And I understand that. Yeah.
You guys can flock off.
Yeah. Flock on. Now they're going to be flocking back, I think.
That's a Jasonism, man. I like that.
Right. Hashtag flock on. But and they had good credit. Their reasons were right, on a lot of levels. But I just think I'm with you. Amazon's not going to fail. Looking at Wattpad, they look at Radish, they look at some of the other things, and they're going to take a little bit of everything that's good, and they're going to succeed because. I think the bonuses are them putting their money where their mouth is. Literally, they're going to sure
they're buying their inventory is what they're doing.
They're exactly right, and they know that they have the money to do it. They do not want to fail because you can't undo the bad press that would come from that. They're not going to. They're going to prop it up, and we get to be part of the ground floor. So.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm all in on Vella. I wasn't at first. I was skeptical. And then it almost kind of felt like the old, like moving cups around, the old shell game kind of thing. I thought, man, that looks kind of weird with the tokens. But, it felt kind of weird, like how the royalties worked. But I think it's all coming together. They're very straightforward. When you listen to interviews by the people who are really trying to, that are in charge of Vella. And I forget the name of the person who's directing it. There's a great interview with her, and she calmed all of my fears or worries or thoughts. And after I listened to that, man, I was ready, and I started just writing and pumping it out. Well,
please share that link with me because I'd really like to watch that video.
It was turning point for me. It was a turning point.
And so what I'd like to hear from you now we did talk a little bit before we got started recording, and you've also got 2 books out on Kindle. Yes, ma'am. Let's go ahead and talk about those just a minute. My Life, Mercy Creek.
Yeah, so I've actually got 5, but I'll talk about the 2 historical fiction real quick. So my first 2 books are historical fiction. My Life was Mercy Creek, and The World Comes to Mercy Creek. So they're set. The first one's in 1933, 1934, the height of the Great Depression. And it's a family trying to survive it. Will they survive? Will they fall apart? Will they thrive? And then the second one is after the Great Depression, 1941, which is a significant year for America because it ends December 7th. But it starts with the entire year 1941, and prosperity has come. It's a complete flip side of the Great Depression, and you kind of see what prosperity does to a family, almost as destructive as what the times of the Depression did. So it looks at the family dynamic, the father and mother trying to feed the family, the kids and their point of view of it. So those are my first 2 novels, and they're historical fiction, and they're available on Amazon.
Well, I'm going to put the links to all 5 of your Vella flows awesome. And your books in the description of this video. And I hope that people have enjoyed watching this video. It has been a real pleasure getting to know you and to hear about your stories. I'm so excited to read them, and I'm going to put them on my list today.
Thank you so much. This has been a great opportunity to me, and I hope that you and I'll continue to communicate because you have been a blessing to me. You're fantastic.
You're a sweetie. And believe me, I'm out here in the community, and now that I've survived COVID, which I had the Omicron 2.0 that's only in Texas and Washington right now, and I got to tell you, Mm-mm.
Not fun.
Man, oh man. This virus has one purpose. It's to put you in the dirt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's whoever wins the fight.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
But you're up and back at them.
I'm up, and by God, I'm gonna stay up.
Yeah. COVID can flock on off.
It can flock on off.
Right.
All right, y'all. This has been Azriel Lawless for another Lawless interview today with Jason Queen. And what fun we've had. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and come back often.